Hello everybody, I'm Steve Nichols. I'll be your professor for Poli-Sci 100 for the summer 2024 intersession. And I wanted to make a quick video, well, maybe not that quick, about how the course is going to go. This is basically what we would do in an in-person class on the first day. We're going to go over the syllabus and then go over the Canvas page. And by the end of this, you should have a pretty good understanding of the process of the class and expectations and all that kind of stuff. So starting with the syllabus, and this is from the Canvas page, and I'll show you where it is in a second. There's my contact information and a description of what the course is going to cover, basically Introductory American Politics. The learning objectives, what you should be able to do by the time you're done with this class. The text is The Logic of American Politics, the 10th edition, published in 2021. I sent you an email with links to ways to obtain the text relatively inexpensively. I did not place an order at the bookstore for the text because the bookstore's main role in that process is to mark it up and sell it for a lot more than you could buy it for on your own. There's lots of used copies out there at various resellers. I mentioned in the email that I've also heard about, I've seen Reddit threads that talk about free downloads, PDF downloads of the text. No idea whether that's legit, how ethical that is or not, so I'll just leave that to you. In addition to the text, there's a lot of reading material. There will be an article to read for every chapter of the text, and that's all posted on the Cougar Courses page on Canvas. Basically, all you need is what's available to you on Canvas and then the text. As far as the schedule and the pace of the course, this course is entirely online and asynchronous, meaning there's going to be no real-time interaction with us. Sometimes I get questions like, are you going to hold office hours? No, I'm not. That would be in real time. This is an asynchronous course. If an emergency were to happen and I needed to talk to someone quickly, I might be able to create a Zoom link, but that would be a very unusual circumstance. So, if you need to ask me the kind of question you would ask during an office hour in an in-person class, just send me an email. The class is not self-paced, however. We're going to follow a schedule. I'll show you the schedule at the bottom of the syllabus. And you need to do what's expected in that allotted time. For each topic that we cover, there will be 2 days. In one case, there's 3 days, but by and large, we'll have 2 days to cover each chapter. And over the course of those 2 days, there will be a chapter in the text to read, 1 or 2 lecture videos to watch, and there will be a forum discussion that you may or may not be participating in, but you'll need to be reading and following either way. And I'll talk some more about that in just a second. And you need to keep up with the class. You need to do those things as we're going. I don't care when, over the period of the 2 days, you do any of that stuff. If you want to knock it out early on the first day and then have the next day completely free or vice versa, it doesn't matter to me. But it does matter that you do it. We will have exams at scheduled times. You will not be able to go back and make those up if you miss them. If you're assigned to a forum conversation and you miss it, you can't go back and make that up. It's going to happen when it's going to happen. As far as expectations and grades and all that fun stuff, here's that stuff. When you're watching the lecture videos, in an in-person class, I can tell who's spaced out and who's not. I can tell who's paying attention, who's taking notes, and who isn't, who's on their phone, who's doing whatever. Obviously, in this format, I have no idea. You may well have it on in the background and paying no attention whatsoever. By the way, I can tell whether or not you've watched the lecture video, or at least whether you've accessed it. Canvas allows me to look at activity logs of what you've been doing in the class. So everything that you open up, everything that you log on and see, I can see that you did it, when you did it, and those kinds of things. And sometimes I'll look at that. If I get an exam that shows that this person seemed to have no idea what they're talking about, I'll go back and look and see whether they ever watched the lecture video or opened up any of the reading. And more often than not, the answer is no. But I can't tell how close of attention you paid when you do those things. What I would like, what I hope, is that when you watch the lecture videos, you treat it as though you were an attentive student sitting in class, that you're actually taking notes. I mean, that's the way you should do it. You should do all the reading, and you should read in an engaged, active way. You should be thinking as you read and trying to put together the video and the chapter and the readings. So hopefully you'll do it that way. You'll get the most out of the class if you do it that way. And then you will be demonstrating your mastery, your understanding of the concepts and the material that we talk about on 3 exams. I'll talk about those in some detail in just a second. And those 3 exams will each be worth 100 points, and then you'll have another 100 points coming from your participation in the online forum discussions, for a total of 400 points for the class. And you will earn some percentage of those points, ranging from 100% to 0, hopefully not 0. And that percentage will translate into a letter grade, as you can see here. Pretty straightforward, right? I hope. Let's talk about the exams and the discussion forums. First, the exams. The exams will all be essays, and you will have the questions in advance. I'm not trying to surprise you in anything here. In the announcements section on the Canvas page in Cougar Courses, I will post, as we go through each section of the class, I will post every couple of days a new exam question. So when we talk about the logic of American politics, at the end of that discussion, I will post a question about the logic of American politics. And it's the exact question that will be on the exam if you get that particular question. And then a couple days later, I'll post the essay question about the Constitution. A couple days later after that, the question about federalism, and so on. So you will have all of the exams in advance by the time we get to the exam date. One of those questions that I have given you in advance will be randomly selected for you by the testing algorithm on Cougar Courses. So there may be 5 or 6 questions that are possible. One will randomly be selected for you. And you will not all get the same question. The algorithm sort of mixes up the questions and spits them out, and so you're not all going to get one single question. So ideally, what you need to do is prepare for all of them, and then whichever one you get, you're ready, and you take the exam and you do well. Once you start the exam, once you open up the exam screen and you hit go, and the question pops up, you will then have 90 minutes to complete the exam. If you've prepared in advance, that's plenty of time to write a good answer. If you wait until that point in time to then say, well, I better go watch the lecture video, oh, and I better read that chapter, and what about that reading, and what about that forum discussion? If you wait until the exam starts to do that stuff, there's no way you can digest all that material and put it together in a comprehensive, high-quality exam answer in that amount of time. And that's really the point. The point of this format of the exam is to get you to put some time in advance for each section, for each topic, preparing. I don't really care which question anybody gets. What I care is that you go through the time and you put in the effort and the thought to think about these things, integrate all the material, textbook, lecture, additional reading, forum discussion, put that all together in an answer that answers the question in a comprehensive way. The point of the exam is to show that you got the material, and the material is those 4 things: reading, text, lecture, additional reading, and forum conversation. But again, though, if you wait until you get your exam question, you've already started the exam, you see the actual question you're going to get. If you wait till then to try and begin thinking about it, there's not enough time to do a good job on that. So my strong advice to do well in this class is to first digest all the material, watch the lectures, do the reading, pay attention to the forum conversation. And before you start the exam, for each topic, go through and put together at least a rough outline of where you're going to go with the question. Some people pre-write all of the answers, and then all they have to do is cut and paste from what they've already written and plop it into the text screen on the exam and submit it, and they're done. When I see an exam that took a person 3 minutes to complete, usually that's what they did, and those are usually really good. That doesn't mean that a person who takes 89 minutes and 59 seconds to do their exam can't do a good job. Many of those are really good too. So I don't care how you do it. But what I am saying is, please don't wait to see the exam question to start preparing. That's a recipe for a bad exam. The discussion forums. So for each topic that we address in the class, the logic of American politics, the Constitution, federalism, civil liberties, civil rights, Congress, presidency, on the way through the entire class, there will be a discussion forum. And that discussion forum will center around a reading that is about contemporary American politics, what's going on today. Anytime a text is published, it's almost immediately out of date. There's something that's happened in the real world that the text can't possibly have anticipated. It's not in there. And so the point of the forum discussions is to make connections between contemporary American politics and the bigger picture themes that run through the text and the lecture videos. So again, we'll have a forum discussion for every single topic in the class. You will not all participate in every forum. In fact, I'm going to select a subset of probably 4, 5, or 6 of you for each forum conversation. And those 4, 5, or 6 people are going to have the forum discussion. If you are not assigned to a particular forum, you are not expected to participate in that forum. I'm not going to block anyone from participating. If you really feel like adding in on a forum that you've not been assigned to, okay. But only the people who are assigned need to participate in the forum. And I think I'm emphasizing this so much because I think maybe in other online classes, everyone is supposed to chime in on every forum, which to me, that'd be like in an in-person class, if I asked a question in class and then somehow expected every single person in the class, all 30, 40, 50 people, whatever, to say something about the question, which I never do. I'll ask a question and a few people will comment, and that's fine. So that's what I'm getting at with this as well. So again, if you're not assigned to a forum, you do not need to participate in that forum. That does not mean that you don't need to pay attention to the forum, because the themes that are developed in the forum conversation are going to be directly relevant to the exam question on that topic. And one of the things I'm looking for when I read the exam is that you have gotten the substance of your exam draws upon all the relevant course material. And the relevant course material includes that additional reading and the forum conversation about that reading. So you still need to follow the conversations. You need to read what's said there. You need to think about it yourself. You just don't need to be chiming in yourself unless you're assigned to the forum. I will post announcements as we go through the class, as we come up to each section, about who's assigned in which forum. There's an announcement section on the Canvas page. I'll show it to you in a second. You probably know what I'm talking about already. And you need to check that regularly, like pretty much every day, because that's where I'm going to post the exam questions, and that's where I'm going to post the forum discussion assignments. So it's important that you keep on top of that and know when you've been assigned. But again, even if you're not assigned, you still need to follow the conversations. What am I looking for in the forum conversations when you are assigned? Simply that you say something substantive about the question, that you address the question in a way that shows that you know what you're talking about. Ideally, what I would really like is for you to engage each other. A person will post, someone else will post in response and say, oh, I agree with you on this point, I'm not so sure about this. And we'll have a kind of a conversation like we would have if we were sitting in a room together in an in-person class. That's hard to pull off online, particularly when you've got a 2-day period as opposed to, we're live and I'm asking a question and the conversation is happening in real time. I would like it if people would post early in the 2 days, and then so a conversation could take place, it can unfold over time. Sometimes I see where people wait until sort of the end of the second day to start posting. That's fine. That's the flexibility of online is part of the beauty of it. So I'm not going to try and squash that by forcing you to post at a certain time. So, when you post, it doesn't really matter, but that you do post matters, and that your posts reflect some thought and some understanding of the concept is what matters. Posts that say something like, well, I agree with you, that's a great point. And nothing else, that's not really advancing the conversation at all. That's not really showing anything. That's just you chiming in agreement. So that kind of post will not be graded very well. You'll probably have anywhere between 3 to 4 to 5 discussion forums that you'll all be assigned to. I'll see how it goes. It's fairly random as I assign people to the posts. I will try to mix up the groups that you're with so that you're not always speaking with the same people in these forums, so it's mixed up. But as far as that 100 points for the forum discussion goes, if you participate in all the forums, the worst thing you can do is miss one. There's no saving that. So if you're assigned to 4 and you miss one, you've automatically lowered your forum participation grade down to 75 points, right? Because you've lost a fourth of it. So don't miss them. But assuming you post in all of them and you say things that are reasonably intelligent and on point, you'll get the full 100 points. That's the easy part of the class, unless you miss one, and then that would be bad. By the end of the class, when I'm submitting the final participation grades, and by the way, I will not grade these as we go along. I will look at your overall forum conversation, and then I will grade that in terms of that 100 points. If I have a sense that you, over the course of the class, have participated meaningfully, you'll get the 100 points. It's not a big deal, as long as you stay on top of it. Some more fun stuff. So we're going to talk about some very controversial stuff. You've probably noticed that American politics today is highly polarized, highly contentious. Both Republicans and Democrats think that the other side poses an existential threat to democracy and is ruining our country. Those are pretty entrenched, deeply held positions. And we're going to get into some of the stuff that is the basis for those positions, for sure. We will disagree with each other. You will disagree among yourselves, and you'll disagree with me on many things, and I will disagree with you. That's fine. But what's not fine is any kind of hostile or disruptive or disrespectful comments or tone or anything like that. And we need to be respectful even as we disagree about things. This is not usually a problem, but if there is a problem, I will be on it very quickly. And any kind of negative or aggressive or insensitive or disrespectful exchanges in discussion forums in particular will have a very negative impact on that participation grade. And the other unpleasant thing to talk about is academic misconduct, academic dishonesty. When I grade the exams, the exam questions are designed specifically to tap into the material in this class, the lecture videos that I made, the course that I picked, the reading that I picked, the forum conversation that I picked the topic of and I've watched and I've read all that stuff. When someone goes to ChatGPT and asks AI to explain why we have a two-party system, and then takes that answer and plugs it in to the exam and represents that as their exam, it's very obvious. I mean, AI is amazing, obviously, but ChatGPT doesn't know what I've assigned. It doesn't know what I said in my lecture video. It doesn't know what additional reading I assigned. It doesn't know what we talked about in the forum conversation. It can't put that all together. So that is clear. That stands out like a huge red flag, and I know immediately that this exam is not based on the class material. Even more obvious is when somebody Googles an answer. I can Google as well as you can. And when I see a phrase that clearly a student didn't write, I can find that phrase and I find the online source. And when any of that stuff happens, we have a problem. That's academic misconduct. It's plagiarism. And there's two things that happen immediately. One, that assignment gets a 0. And so if you think about it, if you get a 0 on an exam, that's, again, 1/4 of your grade gone immediately. You'd have to get every other point in every other category to just get a C in the class at that point. So don't do that. The second thing that has to happen when there's academic misconduct is I have to report it to the Dean of Students office. And then they go down a process of academic misconduct. And the penalties for that depend on how severe the misconduct was, how upfront the student was when caught, if there's a history of this kind of stuff in other classes. And the penalties can range from being put on probation to being expelled or suspended from the university. You don't want any of that stuff. Just don't do that. What I ask is that everything you submit in class, your forum participation comments, come from your head. The exams that you submit come from your head, that you write them, and that you write them based on the material of the class, that you do not go to other sources and try and pass that off as your own. If you do, again, it's really easy to spot, and then I have to act on it. I see more of this stuff in online classes than I do in person. And I think, there are reasons why. One is that you're already on the computer, so how easy is it to just, on the thing you're already using, to go to some other source and try and find information. And also I think that the time schedule, that we've got 5 weeks to do what normally would take 15. So it's a compressed time schedule. If you're trying to do this class and you've got a full-time work schedule or you've got other stuff going on in your life, which I'm sure many of you do, it's hard. This is a lot of work in a pretty small amount of time. If you find yourself in a jam at some point, if it's 11:30 p.m. and the exam is open for 2 days also, and you're at the very end of that 2-day period and you haven't started on it, and you don't have the time to watch the lecture videos and do the reading, and you're panicking, you're feeling pressured, and you're tempted to try and find an exam answer on ChatGPT or Google it, and then hope I don't catch it, and just submit it and hope for the best. Don't do that. Instead, just send me an email and let me know what's going on. I'm a pretty reasonable person, I think, and I would much rather work with you on that and try and make an arrangement where we can work something out. Because that I can do. Once you submit work that's not your own, and you submit it and you're saying, yes, I did this, then my hands are pretty tied. There's not much I can do there. When academic misconduct happens, I have to grade it accordingly and I have to report it accordingly. So again, please don't fall into that trap. If you have any questions, let me know. I put a link there to a plagiarism guide that the library has. And it's pretty good. It's pretty comprehensive. The last thing is if you have any need for any accommodations through Disability Student Services, I do it all the time. Just let me know. Not a problem whatsoever. Okay, the schedule we're going to follow. Here it is. You're doing this right now, watching the course introduction video. Good job. I'd like you to read the syllabus carefully, even though we are going over it now. The syllabus contains the nuts and bolts, the policies of how we're going to do things. So please make sure you know what's in it. I get so many questions that always surprise me when students ask, and my answer is, it's in the syllabus. We've talked about this. You should know this. So that's July 8th. We'll do the course introduction. The discussion forum on July 8th is simply for you to share something about yourself and your impression of politics. One of the things I don't like about online teaching is that I don't really get a sense of you and you don't get a sense of each other as human beings. So I'm trying to get some sense of that with this first forum in which you're going to tell us something about yourself, a hobby and interest, some fun fact about you, and then just your sort of general impression of politics. Do you like it? Do you think it's boring? Is it nasty? This forum is the only forum in which I want all of you to participate. Again, all the others are by assignment, but this one I want to hear from everyone. Notice too that the forums close at 8 p.m. That means that for you to participate in a forum, you have to do so by 8 p.m. on the date of the window that the forum closes. And the reason is that I'm old, and I'm not staying up past 8 reading forum conversations. I'm usually asleep by 9:30, 10 at the latest, and I'm waking up at 4:35. That's what happens when you get old. So anyway, there's an 8 o'clock deadline as each section closes. The forum will still be open past then. You'll still be able to see it. I want you to be able to go back to the forums and review them to study. So it's not that they're going to go away, but as far as participating in a way that counts towards your participation grade, it's got to be by 8 o'clock when the forum closes. Okay, so then we'll get into the actual substance of the class. July 9th and 10th is about the logic of American politics. It's the theme that runs through this text. So there will be a lecture video to watch. There will be a chapter to read, chapter 1 of the text. There's another article to read about climate change as an example of what's called a prisoner's dilemma. And there'll be a forum discussion to which 4 or 5 of you will be assigned about this article. So this is over the 2-day period of July 9 and 10. That forum will close at July 10 to 8 o'clock. If you're assigned, you need to participate by then. If you participate after that, it doesn't count. Then the next 2 days we'll look at the Constitution, same exact process, videos, 2 of them in this case, because it was really long, so I broke it up to make it more manageable. Chapter, reading, forum conversation, and so on. Federalism for a couple of days. I've broken the class up into units. Unit 1 is what I just covered. The next unit is civil liberties and civil rights. That's kind of arbitrary. That's just sort of make the things a little hang together in more meaningful chunks. But the next unit will be civil liberties and civil rights, July 15th and 16th on the 1st, July 17th and 18th on the 2nd. Again, the same exact components, lecture videos, text chapter, additional reading, forum conversation. And then July 19th and 20th we'll have the first midterm exam. You can take the exam at any point over those 2 days. I think it opens up at just after at 12:01 a.m. on July 19th and closes at 11:59 p.m. on July 20th. I don't care when you take it. Again, make sure you put in the time to prepare before you start the exam. And if you're really on top of things and you want to have a couple days off, you could actually stay up till 12:01 a.m. on July 19th, take the exam right then, and then you've got the 19th and 20th, all the rest of the time off. Or you can have it all off and wait till the 20th until close to midnight. It doesn't matter. I don't care. But I just care that you do the exam sometime in those couple of days. After the exam, we're right back at it, talking about the institutions of government, Congress, presidency, bureaucracy, and the courts. Same exact components. One difference is that instead of a reading, when we talk about Congress, we'll watch a video that I think you'll find interesting. And that video will be the basis for the forum conversation. The presidency and the bureaucracy, this is the only time we're going to cover 2 topics in 3 days instead of 2 days each. And that's because this is really one thing. This is the executive branch of government. We tend to separate it out between the presidency and the bureaucracy, but they're all the executive branch. So we will have, again, 2 chapters, lecture videos, 2 readings, 2 forums for that stuff. Then we'll have a couple of days on the courts, and then the second midterm exam, July 28th and 29th. And then the last section will be the next 2 units. Unit 4 is political parties and interest groups, same exact components over those days, a 4-day period. And then we'll close Unit 5 with news media, public opinion, and elections. Same exact thing. This particular reading really taps into about conspiracy theories. It really taps into both the news media and public opinion. So for this section, we'll have just one reading and one forum. So it's kind of a combined public opinion and news media section. And then we'll talk about elections. And then on August 9th and 10th, somewhere in there, you'll take the final. And that's pretty much that. I hope it's clear. If you have questions about the syllabus, please let me know. And let me get out of here and go back and show you the Canvas page. So this is student view. This is what you should see. Announcements will show up here. There aren't any there now because I haven't made any yet. But here's the home page. The syllabus is right here. It's what we just looked at. You can download it there. Going back to the home page, there's information about the text that I already emailed you. This is that exact same information. Links that you can buy it at for cheap. Cool. And then here in the module section, this is where the real nuts and bolts of the class are. The actual material is housed here. There's some basic information about the text, about some support services, tech support, disability student services support, academic support, non-academic support. That's the sort of generic stuff that is consistent across all classes. Here I have a Q&A section, and what I have in mind here is if something strikes you, you just have a question about something, and it's not maybe necessarily what exactly we're talking about in a particular section, or it's a specific question that I don't cover in the video, you can ask it here. So imagine you're in class and something strikes you and you say, hey, professor, why do we have the filibuster? How did that start in the first place? This would be a good place to ask that. I will check this on the regular, and I will reply to these as I see them. If you're reading these and you see someone ask a question, you've got something to say, feel free. You don't have to, but you're certainly allowed to. And then we get to the actual content of the class. Here's the course introduction. This is the video you're watching right now. Good job. And this is the first discussion forum that we'll have on July 8th. So again, I'm asking you, tell me something about yourself, something interesting, something fun, and then your impression of politics. I want everyone to post in this again. And then here is the actual first unit. So a lecture video on the logic of American politics. The videos are all posted on YouTube. You can go there, you'll see them. I made these videos about a year ago, and I was tempted to re-record them all for this session. But the thing is, we're going to have a pretty pivotal election in November 5th of 2024. So I'm almost certainly going to have to re-record all the videos after that election, no matter how it goes. So I held off, and I'm using the videos from the last time I taught this class. So there might be a few things that are a little bit dated, but most will be equally current. And besides that, where we get into the current stuff is in the forum conversations anyway, and a lot of those are brand new. So logic of American politics, a couple of videos on the Constitution. Here's the Federalism lecture. Here are the readings. All the readings are PDFs, so they're posted on Canvas. You can see them there. You can download them if you want, or just wait for them to open up and read them on the screen. There it is. Go back. And then here are the forum discussions. And again, these forums are the ones that you will be assigned to. So if you are one of the 4 or 5 or 6 people assigned to the climate change as a prisoner's dilemma forum discussion, there's the preamble, the prompt for the discussion, and here's where you will enter your thoughts about that. And again, my hope is that you will post and you'll react to each other. You'll have a conversation. You'll go back and forth, responding to this, responding to each other. Ideally, that's the way it'll go. And that's it. Here's the second unit, all the same components. The third unit, likewise. Fourth and fifth. The exams you will find right here under assignments. On July 19th or 20th, you will go here and you will click this, and you will see you see here the time limit is 90 minutes, and you don't see it here now because the exam is not open to you yet, but when it's open to you, you will see a link to click on that will open the exam, and at that point your question will be revealed to you from that list that you've already seen all the possible questions, and the countdown will start right then. At the end of 90 minutes, whatever you have written in the text screen that will appear will be submitted as your exam. If you finish sooner than 90 minutes, and most of you almost certainly will, you can submit it at that time. You don't have to wait for the 90 minutes to run out, and that'll be your exam. Going back to assignments, you see forum participation listed here. There's nothing for you to do here. That is you will earn that 100 points by participating in your forums, and I will not enter any grades for the forums until the end of the course because it's one grade for all your participation. I'm not going to grade each individual one as we go. So there's nothing to do there. It shows up under assignments, but there's nothing for you to do there other than do your forum assignments as you are assigned. This is what you actually need to think about. And then of course you can see your grades here as we go through the class. And then finally, at some point towards the end of the class, you will be allowed to submit a course evaluation, so you get to evaluate me instead of just me evaluating you. And that'll be here. It's not showing yet because it's not time yet. Okay, I think that's it. If you have questions, again, let me know. I'm looking forward to this class. I always like teaching this class. A lot of times the online discussions are more involved and more substantive than maybe what happens in person because people don't have to worry about being shy or self-conscious about talking in person. There's a little more ability to avoid that stuff in online discussions. I hope you get a lot out of it. Of course, like everything else with life, what you get out of it will depend on what you put into it. And you can always follow the path of least resistance and do the minimum amount of work and sort of watch the videos, sort of do the readings, sort of pay attention to the conversations, and then you'll sort of get something out of it. Or you could really throw yourself into it and get the most out of it that you can. And of course, I hope that you do that. Looking forward to the class. I think it'll be good. And that's it. And how do we get out of here? I'll talk to you later. Bye.